Hello and welcome to our Lifestyle Solutions YouTube channel, Dr. Greg and Monica. Today on training.
On training this time. Let's
talk about, and what I want to do is talk about how to prepare for an event, a competition, a race for different kinds of sports, what to look into. So for example, if you want to prepare for a mud runner, a Spartan race, one of those, when you are a runner, what are some of the things that you might be lacking? What are some of the things that you might want to do? So for example, as a runner, you have great stamina.
Yes.
You've got endurance. You're in it for the long haul, depending, unless you're a sprinter, obviously. But if you run a certain amount of miles, you are into that endurance type of training. But when you're preparing, for example, for a Spartan race, and I have a friend who's doing exactly that right now, and she's not 18 years old or 20 years old. She will be turning 60 and doing her first Spartan race, and I think that is amazing.
And she is about 22 in mentality.
Yes. So when you're doing that, you know, you have a lot of obstacles, you have a lot of, there's that element component that the runner is lacking in upper body. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. There's a couple components. What Monica's getting at is that you have to prepare for what you're not used to. There's that. But those Spartan races, watch them, see what they do. There's an upper body element, some balance, irregular footing. Then, as she'll explain, you prepare for those things. So you're ready for specifics.
So as I mentioned, if you are that runner, your legs should be pretty strong.
They should
You should be okay with endurance. So where do you need to compensate? Well, some exercises might be tire flipping, a rope climb, because that'll work that upper body. Sled pushing or even pulling, because once again that gets your whole upper body, your back, and your shoulders and your biceps and triceps involved. Another one might be pull-ups, and I would use actually banded pull-ups and chin-ups. And the reason why is because if you can't do a pull-up or a chin-up on your own to begin with, it's no use to be up there trying to pick up a weight that you're never going to be able to do. While using bands, and especially depending on whether they're lighter bands or stronger bands, what that will do is allow you to lift your body up slowly and slowly then increase that weight.
You know, a typical gym though, here you gotta be a little bit creative. They often don't have these things in a normal, regular box gym. Be creative. Look around. If you find a CrossFit type gym, they'll have all or some of that. There'll be some where they do called parkour, these types of agility. They'll have a lot of those things. And then there'll be some other gyms, kind of like strongman type. There can be some really big people in there, and some people are intimidated like that, but I guarantee you, they are so into preparing their own training. They're big people. They're really friendly. They look intense because they train seriously. But find a gym like that, and you will be well prepared for your event.
Now let's take it the opposite way, and let's say you are preparing for a triathlon for your first time, when what you've done is bodybuilding.
Just the other thing.
So that's the exact opposite. So as a bodybuilder, you're used to training under very, what I'd call ideal circumstances and an environment. There's that perfect floor, you have the equipment, everything is measured, everything is calculated. I mean, I know that for myself with torn ACLs, I cannot do a lot of those sports that are when your knees, you're running around and you're zigzagging from one to the other. So that's why the weight lifting, it's very precise, it's very concise as to exactly what I'm doing. So many times your gym workout doesn't even translate to actual real world strength and agility and endurance outside of the gym. So mindset, that's there, you know, when you're doing cardio, let's say on a treadmill or on a stair stepper. But there, what you're going to have to do is focus on the endurance, focus on the stamina, focusing on the long haul. And some of those things will be going out and obviously running or biking, you know, doing all these things. But regardless of what you want to train for, I always recommend do that 5-step analysis of attaining that goal. And what is that 5-step analysis again? I mean, it's knowing where you are. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Where is it that I am right now in this sport or in, you know, my physical activity training? Secondly, where do I want to be? So what is it that I want to accomplish? Thirdly, then, what will I need to do that? Thirdly, it's making your plan. So this is where I'm lacking, this is where I want to be. These are the things that I will need to do to go ahead and do that. Finally, well, not finally, but the most important of all of those is actually following that plan. If you set yourself, this is my schedule, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I may need to sacrifice in order to do it, these are the amount of days, the times, the hours, whatever that is, doesn't mean that something won't come up and you might have to rejigger or so, but you've got to follow that. And finally, it's not just celebrating that final goal, but it's being able to celebrate all those little accomplishments along the way. That's extremely important. I'd love to hear your 2 cents when it comes, because you've done a lot of cross training and you've done a lot of, you sprint on the one hand, you do martial arts, you box, you've done bodybuilding as well. So, and you need a lot of cross training for that. So what's some advice?
A lot of it was some of these things, technique, or form, whatever you want to say. A lot of it, that as an aging athlete, intention is to stay fit forever, no limit. But if you're younger, man, get off on the right foot. Don't cut corners. Don't make excuses, because as those years pass, you can find yourself surpassing prior records. Specifically, like for bodybuilder, if you're going to go the triathlon route, I've known a few people that have done that. Powerlift, what a shift that is, though. But a lot of it comes down to their success in technique. Do they run well? Do they run light on their feet, or this they go clunk, 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 and plod? Many do, but if they become light on their feet, they'll be okay. We had gentleman, bodybuilder, big guy, ran across the Grand Canyon. It was amazing.
What a feat.
Absolutely amazing. And he's not built for it. Now, granted, he also was realistic in his expectations, because he wasn't trying to compete with elite athletes from Kenya, Ethiopia, and Morocco like some of those people, but he got the job done, and part of it was having muscle balance, that's the other part, and good technique. Swimming is an art unto itself. Cycling, there's tricks for that as well, but a lot of it still comes down to the most correct body mechanic you can possibly get somebody to coach you on. Then, on top of that, you put your training. If you put your training on incorrect body mechanics, you'll just get hurt and end of goal like that. So much of it. One other thing for the goals that we talked about, things go wrong, things get in the way. So a lot of it is keeping oriented to your North Star. You go forward, you get busy, okay? You go sideways, but you still keep your eye on the North Star. And you have to be a little creative, you get back on path. Sometimes it's an injury. You have to rehab it, it's frustrating. You keep your eye on the path, and you're constantly returning to your goal.
I love that. So basically it is knowing what your limitations are. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time being able to adapt to those limitations. And there's so many ways to adapt. And regardless of it all, it's about always dreaming bigger, being determined, staying with it, getting as much information as you can, whether you're going to do it on your own, find a coach to do it, or help you or guide you as well. And keep at it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ask your question. We're here to answer it. We'd love to, whether that has to do with training, with nutrition, or with some sort of health and condition.
Let me say too, with these videos, check a bunch of them, because there's so much to share. We'll touch on something in one video, detail it in yet another. Do that, you get the full answer to anything you want to know.
See you next time.